Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Dean Passad. And of course, just to let you know that Strong Heart is an all-natural omega-7 supplement that has been shown in clinical studies to be associated with heart health by supporting healthy cholesterol and inflammation levels. Research has shown that increased blood levels of omega-7s is associated with healthy HDL, good cholesterol, and LDL bad cholesterol and C-reactive protein. So, to keep your love muscles strong, pick up your bottle of Heart XL today. We'll be right back to kickstart things right after these messages.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss. For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
The XL brand delivers quality service.
I would recommend Omega XL to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you. Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger in my knee where I could add more pressure.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC, and this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
Limiting chronic inflammation is important for so many conditions that occur.
I had a lot of pain 4 years ago.
I used to have pain in my knees and my hip.
Taking it for arthritis.
Omega XL saved my life.
Then I started to realize, but hey, I could use my hands, I don't have any pain.
All in all, I am pleased to say that the Omega XL has worked.
Thank you so much, Master Control, and we are back. Last night, of course, the United National Congress had their town meeting in San Fernando, and basically based on education, getting the information from the general public, and getting that information and perhaps taking it, of course, and getting things ready for the general election. Joining us is a man who's no stranger to the Observer. Let me say a pleasant good evening to former Education Minister, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. Pleasant good evening to you, Doc.
Good evening to you, Mikey, and good evening to your viewers and listeners.
First of all, let me say great job last night.
Well, it's a job of the honorable political leader who envisaged that there are a few areas of serious national concern. Well, of course, crime, and we had a number of town hall meetings on crime. And she thought it absolutely necessary to engage the population in discussions on education. I believe health might be the next one, and of course, the economy. I think these are the four major areas that the honorable political leader is engaging the national population in discussions at a high level in terms of where we need to go, what we have done, and then, of course, what our policies and programs for the future, which we promise to the population. So the political leader is very strong on moving forward with these town hall meetings and getting the views of the national population on in terms of the formation of our policies and programs.
Yeah, I want to look at this, at the education policies of the UNC. I mean, we're looking at post-budget conversation that we're having right here, of course, and a lot of it dealt with recurring expenditure and, of course, money that can be accounted for. But going back and looking at the People's Partnership led by Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, there was an increase. When you look at the budget, there was always about laptop programs, expansion of the GATE program, the creation of a drilling academy, the El Dorado Nursing Academy, and the list goes on and on. How important does Kamla Prasad-Bissessar look when it comes to human capital development?
This was a major plank for the election of 2010 in terms of knowledge-based society and human capital development, and ensuring a knowledge-based society. So her major plank in 2010 focus a lot on education, and so that the budgetary allocation for health was the leading budget for the 5 years. That was the amount of effort and energy that the Honorable Prime Minister at that time, Mrs. Bissessar, placed on education, so that a knowledge-based society, human capital development formed the core of management in terms of development of Trinidad and Tobago. So she ensured allocation, not more than what we're having now. It used to be around about 7.5 billion during our 2010 to 2015, but it was utilized in an economic manner and in a productive manner to successfully deal with the programs and policies that we had put into our manifesto in 2010, and which we were able to complete in terms of the success of implementation of these policies by 2014. And you would remember, we became the first country in the world to achieve universal early childhood education, as stated by the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in 2014, when he addressed Caribbean prime ministers in Barbados. He told the Caribbean prime ministers that Trinidad became the first country in the world to have achieved the universal early childhood education. Then in 2014, we had the best academic performance in all examinations in the SEA and the CSEC and the CAPE, and we bettered that in 2015. So we were in parallel with a number of the developed countries in terms of our education sector, in terms of what Singapore and South Korea and Japan and Hong Kong were achieving. We were able to achieve those. In fact, our education system was praised by then presidential candidate Mrs.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton. And we achieved. We received global awards for our work. We were invited by the Qatar Foundation, which is one of the premier foundations in education globally. And we were honored in the Qatar Foundation for the work that we were doing in education. Well, when we speak about the laptop program, 95,000 laptops given to students. We had all our secondary schools with computer classrooms, and some of these schools had up to about 3 to 5 computer rooms, with approximately 50 computers being serviced by 150 IT technicians. And then we moved to the primary schools, and over 300 primary schools as well had computer rooms, and students were working in the computer rooms in the primary schools. Over 120 of these schools had Wi-Fi connectivity, sub at an average of about 13 megabits per second. So we were at the forefront in the world, in Latin America and the Caribbean, in terms of our information technology with the laptops. And then concurrent with that, under the Infrastructure Development Fund and the Public Sector Investment Program, we continue to build our schools, and as everyone knows, we built 106 schools. We built about 37 primary schools, about 60 62 or 63 early childhood education centers, and we did completed about 7 secondary schools. We left about 70 schools for continued construction under PNM. But within 1 year, the PNM administration decimated the education sector. It is very, very saddening that in just 1 year, Minister Lovell and Minister Garcia found it necessary not to continue most of the successful programs that Mrs. Bissessar had started under her term and under her regime as Prime Minister. Very successful performances between 2010 and 2015. And within 1 year, there was a swift and precipitous reversal of all the gains and successes that we had made in the education sector. We did a revision of the early childhood education curriculum, the primary school curriculum, and the secondary school curriculum, because we had 2 successful workshops with about 500 educators at different times of our administration, giving us some ideas and helping us with our programs and policies implementation. So we moved, then we had over 400 homework centers. We bought over 2 million textbooks for students. Every child in every class and every subject in every school received the textbook. In 2012, we standardized the type of textbooks that we were using. The principals were allowed to choose either 1 of 2 textbooks at a time. And school repair programs, we did over 5,000 school repair programs over the 5 years, so that students' educational pursuit could be in the rooms and in the schools where they felt comfortable in an environment. And we did over 5,000 repair projects in the 5 years. We were utilizing over 500 different contractors. So every day, about 5 schools break down in Trinidad, because out of the 455 primary schools, about 5 will break down, and because there are about 50% of them that are more than 50 years of age. So it is understandable. But in 9 years, this present administration have built no new schools. They completed about 4 or 5 of the schools that we started. So it's very sad and very damning on this administration.
And let me ask you, you said something quite interesting just now. I mean, when you look at this complete system that has broken down, in the heights of the pandemic, Prime Minister Rowley made it clear that almost 2,000 students fell through the cracks. And when you look at what's happening now with crime and all these situations, do you believe that we're paying a price for that?
But it's not 2,000, it's over 100,000 students over a 2-year period were unable to receive an education because they did not have any type of support system from the education sector, nor they had any devices. Imagine a government having to beg the private sector to purchase devices for students. So 2 years, Mikey, within 2 years, over 100,000 students were disenfranchised from the education. And hence, over 9,000 students, recently you would have seen it in 2023, over 9,000 students failed the SEA examination. And almost 3,000 of those failed to get more than 30% of passes. And you had a 45% pass rate in mathematics and even less in English language. We achieved a 97 to 98% success rate in the Cape, and we have about 65 to 70% pass rate in mathematics and language. So Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bissessar as Prime Minister placed a tremendous amount of emphasis on education and the human capital development. And then at the tertiary education too, Mikey, you remember the GATE program was increased. We moved tertiary education participation from 42% to 72%. Then we had a number of areas in tertiary education with the UTT becoming stronger. Then we had a number of TechVox centers across MIC, NSDP, YTEP, and number of these programs under Minister Karim at that time were very, very successful. And so we were carrying textbook education at a higher level. In the secondary schools, we started with 42 schools when we came into office. Doing textbook education, we carried it to 102 schools. We started the Girl Guide movement, the Boy Scout movements, so that we had parenting and education workshops for over 100,000 parents. And Mrs. Bisasa, as Prime Minister at that time, ensured, she told me to make sure that we have enough guidance officer, guidance counselors, behavioral and clinical psychologists. So when we came in, there were over 250. We moved that to nearly 700, so that each of the secondary schools, 125 secondary schools, would have at least one behavioral or educational psychologist or clinical psychologist, and we had and even psychiatrists as well within the system. And so we worked arduously to reduce the incidence of school violence as well, because we had a 24 plan program and policies that we implemented, some of which were the increase in the amount of behavioral and clinical psychologists in the Student Support Services Division. We had parenting and education. We brought back the 72 boards that were public bodies that were aligned to education. We reenacted that so that citizens living close to schools could become part of the school's work and so on. Then we established about 4 centers with the behavioral psychologists and clinical psychologists and psychiatrists across the country to deal with the students and to continue to motivate them and educate them and carry them forward in the process where they are being retrained.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Gopi Singh. I mean, looking at all, trying to basically absorb all that you're saying, and it's quite a lot, and it makes so much sense. I mean, basically nipping the problem in the bud, going after it, getting to the source of it, and neutralizing it, but it seems that it's so different at this point in time. Take us back to the assessments, because we get the feeling now that there are people who are just simply working good enough to stay hired, and perhaps just good enough not to be fired, and our children are paying a price for that. And when you talk about a time when there was so much enthusiasm, where teachers came out, where they wanted to participate, they saw these programs, they saw what was taking place, they saw all of these advanced things that were being done. But at this critical stage that we're at, many of our children are way behind. And we're talking about things like AI technology and so many things that are being introduced now when it comes to learning globally. Give us an idea, when you look at the assessment, how this entire thing was operated from step 1 all the way up to that time of graduation, where we were producing the best type of students.
We made a determined effort that all our teachers will be fully trained for primary schools. So we gave a lot of scholarships for teachers who were not fully qualified in the primary schools to receive their Bachelors of Education qualification. So when we demitted office, there was no primary school in Trinidad where there was any teacher without a Bachelors of Education degree. Then we ensured that those with bachelor's degree, we encouraged them, we gave scholarships to go to their masters. Many of them went to their PhDs. Then we trained over 6,000 teachers in a period of time in information technology, alternate dispute resolution, to deal with students who are dysfunctional, and then of course in mathematics and language and English language, we had a number of teachers trained. We brought in moderators, facilitators, substitute teachers into the school programs. So some schools had a moderator with a one-to-one approach to students. All of this was lost during the 9 years of the PNM administration. So it is not surprising that you have massive failure rates within the education system. The Minister of Education at the moment, unfortunately, she cannot deal with it, nor a deputy. They are both It is beyond them at this time. It is beyond the government at this time, Mikey, to be able to deal with the education sector, because they don't have the management and they don't have the competence. They don't have the willpower, as Mrs. Bissessa had, to bring a knowledge-based society to Trinidad. In all aspects of education, she was at the forefront of all of this. I was a vehicle to be able to implement a number of the policies and programs that she wanted to have implemented. And so her drive was in information technology. Her drive was in, we changed the curriculum in secondary schools as well. And in primary schools, as I told you, we brought in morals, values, ethics, citizenry development, character, and so on. But we tested the students on those, and we were moving away from the SEA into a continuous base assessment where students were assessed in Standard 4 and Standard 5 and gave 20% of the marks for the students. And we were moving that to Standard 3, where 30% of the marks would have been given. And then at Standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the students would have been assessed. What was important, we started the whole aspect of neurodiagnostic testing of students, where when we get into government again, this will be one of the foremost aspects of our movement forward. All students age 4 and 5 in our schools will have a neurodiagnostic testing, so we can understand and appreciate where the students are, what type of deficiencies they may have. And we did a lot of research over the time that we were there, to researching over 3,000 students, 1,500 from primary schools and 1,500 from early childhood education centers. And we were able to find that with parenting support, over 25% of students improve their performance within a 6-month period. There are about 7% of our school population with neurodevelopmental disabilities, functional disabilities. So we were able to identify students, and we were able to begin to have citizens working with these students with developmental abilities, developmental disabilities in schools, so that we were looking after, we funded 14 private schools for students with disabilities, and we had 11 of our government schools, so 25 schools working for students with functional disabilities. So it's a matter of understanding where we were,
and all
programs and policies.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying there, Doc, is that throughout the entire assessment, once there were indicators, anything that came up, you had people who were on board to assist and deal with those situations.
Yes, we implemented the programs and the policies to deal with the problems. For instance, over 100,000 parents participated in parenting and education workshops, so that they got an understanding of what are some of their responsibilities as a parent, what is expected of them as well. And so then we had career fairs between the Minister of Tertiary Education and myself. We both joined together collaboratively, and we exposed the students in Form 5 and even some Form 4 and then Form 6 in terms of understanding future career path developments for themselves. And then we gave scholarships, over 500 scholarships per year to these students. Now the government has whittled it down to 50. They say they're giving bursaries, but giving bursaries to their own P&M political patronage. And they have removed meritocracy from the program altogether. They don't want to publish the names of the 200 students who have passed the SEA examinations. They don't want to publish the names of the schools and the scholarships, the schools that have won the scholarships. It is a deliberate attempt by this government to, in fact, I would say, just remove education from the face of Trinidad and Tobago, because they've done everything against it and not to support it.
And let me ask you, 15-year-old St. Stephen's College student, of course, Jaden Lalchan, we're now hearing, of course, that the TTPS will not charge anyone for the death of the young man, citing insufficient evidence to prove bullying played a role in his death. I'm certain that there were policies in place to deal with such situations as well.
We had implemented, it's very sad to continue to speak about this poor child who, and the parents of course, and the friends and the students who were around him, for us to understand what has happened to the poor boy that he committed suicide. It's still very heartbreaking. But we had implemented, we cannot say, Mikey, that we can get rid of bullying in school. We cannot get rid of it completely, but we can reduce the amount of negatives behaviors of students. And we did our research when we went in 2010. And we went back to 1985, where there were about, from 85 to 2010, there are about 4 commissions of inquiry. Basically, research work that was done in terms of school behavioral problems of students, violence in schools. And we implemented about 24 different programs, some of which I enumerated earlier on, and we were getting tremendous success. And in terms of crime in schools, we gave each one of the schools 2 handheld scanners so that the principals and the deans of discipline and so on in school were able to implement using these handheld scanners so that students would not bring knives and weapons into the school. And then we introduced in secondary schools these devices that you use at the airport for when you're walking in to scan you. We had about 4 of those, and we moved them around in the various secondary schools so students were aware that we were on the watch for their negative behavior, and there was good behavior from them. We also got support from the police service to move students out of school as fast on evenings rather than loitering around in the school. We hired over 150 health and safety officers in schools so that they would be able to manage the intermission times and the lunch times and ensure good behavior amongst these students, and on the evenings when they're leaving schools as well. So we had a multiplicity of programs. We had management leadership teams in schools using the principals, vice principal, deans of discipline, a student alumni, and a leader of the student body in the school, so that all these things were looked at from a focused perspective rather than leaving it willy-nilly for things to just happen. So it was a focused 5-year period where the Prime Minister, Mrs. Bissessa, ensured that policies and programs were implemented to the benefit of the people, of the students of Trinidad and Tobago, where nearly 300,000 students in our schools were kept at a high level of education.
And you know, Doc, I have to agree with you. You really have to have that vision, and you have to have that will to understand how important it is. Last night, of course, at the town hall meeting, somebody made a very valid point. I think it was a teacher, and he said that, at school, we're still doing the chalkboard and the whole chalk method, but when these students get home, they are doing everything so fast on these these devices. And so there's such a disconnection. One would ask that why would the government not make such an investment rather than spending money on so many different things when human capital development is so important, it is so critical when it is that you have a country of people who really and truly want to learn, and there's this hunger for learning. I mean, why are our young people being deprived of these opportunities?
Well, you remember when Prime Minister Rowley came in, he said we were giving laptops to Dutzy head students, which was, it was a shame for a Prime Minister to think that way. And 9 years later, he should be ashamed of making that statement. And for 9 years, they kept the IT programs away from these students because for their own reason, because of hate and spite and maliciousness and vindictiveness, because we implemented programs that were successful, they feel that they must disenfranchise the student body from from those mechanisms of success which we implemented. And it is very sad this government has hung their heads in shame, Mikey. They're totally incompetent. They mismanage the country, almost every sector. I am speaking to you on education alone now tonight, but you see it in health, you see it in the economy, you see it in social services, unemployment, people suffering, and the crime situation is at its worst. Yeah. So this government really needs to be removed as quickly as possible. I'm sure the citizens are waiting to exhale, to show that this dislike for this government, and to vote in our competent United National Congress government. Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar as Prime Minister ran a marvelous and a tremendously successful 5-year term of governance in this country, in almost every aspect of governance. So her reign as Prime Minister between 2010 and 2015, I've been in politics for over 30 years, and I would say convincingly that her government, our government, between 2010 and 2015 had been the most successful government ever in the history of this country. What the people of this country achieved, what they received between 2010 and 2015, no other government has been able to provide the type of benefits for the citizens and for the students of this country.
Thank you so much.
We are given that opportunity again, which we hope that the citizens will provide us with that opportunity to govern again. I'm sure we will repeat and even better our performance between 2010 and 2015.
Thank you.
Support Mrs. Bissessar and her team for the election, and Trinidad and Tobago will begin to become a knowledge-based society, will be a country for the future, and will be at the highest level in terms of Caribbean-wise and internationally. Just let me make this point on the program, Mikey.
Go ahead.
When Mrs. Bissessar came in July in 2010 and she appointed me as minister, she said, Minister, I want the first set of laptops to be delivered to these students in September. And we had to get our heads together. She appointed a team to assist me, a 5-member team of ministers, an interministerial team, and we worked assiduously. By September, October, we had the first 19,000 laptops given to students entering from the primary school into secondary school. And while we were doing that, we were leaders in Latin America and the Caribbean in terms of the ICT programs. President Putin was now beginning to have about 3,000 schools in Russia with IT programs and laptop programs for these students in the schools. And President Obama asked a number of these companies like Sprint and so on, these high-tech companies, to help him with $100 million each. 10 of them gave $100 million each to help the students with ICT programs and laptops in areas where the students were disenfranchised and were at a situation where they could not have afforded to do the things that they wanted for these schools. So we were on par. The Organization of American States realized how Trinidad and Tobago were at the forefront of ICT in education. And we were named as a Center for Virtual Education in ICT for Latin America and the Caribbean. Those are some of the achievements that we achieved between 2010 and 2015.
Hats off to you, Dr. Gopi Singh. Thank you so much for taking time out this evening. Very insightful. Keep up the good work. And as you said, once the citizens do the right thing, we can get back to that level. Especially.
I want to just to remind the population too, it was Mrs. Bissessar as Minister of Education between 1997 to 2000 ensured that no child will be left behind without a secondary education. And she, with Mr. Bandy, built a number of secondary schools so that between the 7,000 to 10,000 students who were left out of a secondary school education between 1962 to 2000 came to an end when Mrs. Bissessar, as Minister of Education, ensured that there were enough schools and places in the secondary schools to house all the students. So between 62 to 2000, 38 years, multiply that by about 7,000. Over 250,000 citizens of Trinidad and Tobago did not receive a secondary education in Trinidad. Between 62 to 2000, 38 years, at an average of 5,000 students being left out of a secondary school place, we have close to over 200,000 citizens who did not receive, and it would be more like 300,000, who were unable to receive a secondary school education because of the unavailability of places in a school. And this is what Mr. Bissessor and Prime Minister Pandey put an end to in 2000. So her pursuit in education is unparalleled. Her ability in education has been unparalleled. And so the knowledge and the drive and the enthusiasm for her to run Trinidad and Tobago is along this pathway. Make it one of the best countries in the world in terms of...
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Dr. Gopi Singh. Keep up the good work and best of luck to you and the entire team. And it's been very, very insightful. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank you.
Folks, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're speaking to the president of the Online Gaming Agents of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Dean Prasad. We'll be right back.
Limiting chronic inflammation is important for so many conditions that occur.
I had a lot of pain 4 years ago.
I used to have pain in my knees, in my hip.
Taking it for arthritis.
Omega XL saved my life.
Then I started to realize, but hey, I could use my hands, I don't have any pain.
All in all, I'm pleased to say that the Omega XL has worked.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 King Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air. When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss. For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payment, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
The XL brand delivers quality service.
I would recommend Omega XL to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL.
If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you. Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger in my knee where I could add more pressure.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Cane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air.
And we are back. Thank you so much, Master Control. Don't forget, Probiotic XL combines 3 innovative strategies to restore balance to your digestive system. Probiotic XL contains 11 important probiotic strains, protective shield technology, and clearphage that altogether make it one of the best probiotics on the market. Probiotic XL promotes digestive health and immunity by supporting growth of good bacteria and neutralizing harmful ones. So please pick up your bottle of Probiotic XL today. We're speaking to a gentleman who is no stranger to the Observer. Always good to have him on. Let me, of course, welcome the president of the Online Gaming Agents of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Dean Poussard. Pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Poussard.
Good evening to you, Mikey, and to your viewers.
Well, I know things are not well at all because the NLCB wants to ensure that the agents, according to their release, meet their financial obligations. And according to the NLCB chairman, Mr. Eustace Nancis, he said that the measures that are being put in place are necessary to maintain the board's integrity and protect government revenue. Now, he says, according to the NLCB, most of its 1,200 licensed agents comply with the terms. Then why is Peter paying for Paul in this situation?
Well, that's the question. That's the $1 million question right there. By his own admission, most of the agents are complying with these terms and conditions. And if you read further down to that release, he is saying that only 36 agents' machines were deinstalled due to unpaid debts exceeding $4 million. And somewhere in that too, he gave a figure of $6 million.
Yes.
Right, Mikey? Mm-hmm. So, right there, you have 36 agents who are not complying. So deal with those 36 and leave the operations of the other agents as is, or try to improve it, right? And if you look at the calculations there, Mikey K, 36 agents in unpaid debts exceeding $4 million. Let us assume in exceeding $4 million, let us put $6 million to that. The 22 machines lower down that were given up or returned according to him was because of location closures or low profitability, right? So that was an agent making a business decision. So that has nothing to do with us. So we're going back to the 36 agents, $4 million. When I calculated 36 agents at $4 million and I made an average, because we wouldn't know how much each agent would have been owing, right?
Right.
But you do an average, you'll come up with $111,000 and $111.11. So let's put that as $112,000 each agent is owing. You suppress their machine over a year now. According to the contract, an agent weekly fee, weekly sales should at least be $25,000. Most agents, all agents covering that and more. But let us use that minimum figure of $25,000 weekly. 36 by $25,000 weekly is $900,000 weekly for the NLCB. By the month, that is $3.6 million in just 1 month, 4 weeks. So in 2 months, you're recovering $7.2 million if you leave the terminals operational.
Right.
Alongside that, you should have a payment plan agreement with the agent to pay his debt. So you have the agent operating his terminal, making an income for NLCB, a big income for NLCB. In 2 months, you recover $6 million one time. And then you have the agent paying his debt, his individual debt with a payment plan. So there you go. That's the fix right there. No $1 million in legal battles, right? And you're achieving your objective. Everybody happy. $6 million, I want to add to that. It's not real money. It's not really the money that is outstanding alone. Because lumped in that, there are agents who have issues with weekly settlement figures because of malfunctioning machines, right? So that is not really, it's not real dollars that they're losing there. And then you have agents who are suppressed and their interest rates added to what was the original amount, which might be $25,000, right? Let's just call it arbitrary figures. And NLCB has now added interest to that in an arbitrary way, and it is now that $25,000 is, let's say, now $75,000. So the real figure is not really $6 million, right? Because you have all these other monies injected, all these other factors injected to bring it up to that amount, right? So I don't understand why it is that they insist on all these harsh measures and to affect the remaining 1,164 agents when you have 36 agents, and when you could have sorted out that problem with the 36 agents. It just does not make any sense to me. And I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
There's an agent as well. That's why I'm telling you that they lump everything into this $6 million, right? There's an agent who got robbed on Repeater Avenue there. The machine has been closed since the 24th of April this year, right? And they added interest on that money. They have not worked out a payment plan for that individual, for that agent. Machine down, and they charged interest on the money that she was robbed of, you know. That was a robbery. Police report made, they have your receipt and everything, report made to NLCB and so on. So that is so unfair, plus it is not a real figure. So
I mean, a lot of these things that I'm looking at here really and truly is the logic seems not to be here. First of all, discontinuation of proof of payment. So starting December 1st of this year, the NLCB will no longer accept pictures of night bag deposit slips as evidence of payment being made. So payments due to the NLCB must be fully processed by the bank and received into the agent's EFT account with the NLCB. Now, what happens if the bank is not on par? I mean, banks make mistakes all the time. What if for some reason something isn't transferred or the timing of it doesn't move? What happens then?
Well, today an agent called me. I will not call his name. In Chaguanas there, and the bank lost his deposit. Not lost his deposit. Told him that his deposit was short by $4,325. They called him 3 weeks after he made the deposit. They called him on Friday going. Told him that his deposit short, and he has to make the deposit because when he spoke to NLCB, they said, listen, if you go and make the deposit, we will not suppress you. So he said, but I made the full deposit, but I'll still go and make that shortfall that you all are claiming. So he went and he made the shortfall. Lo and behold, the bank, he investigated with the bank and he kept going at them. They admitted to him today via a letter, which I have in my possession, that they made a mistake and they will pay him back the money. Right? So that is the point that you're talking about, you know. Supposing that guy did not pursue his position, right? NLCB just decided, look, listen, you in their mind that you have a shortfall here, the bank say you have a shortfall, and we're going to suppress the machine. You have to pay $1,000 reactivation fee, and now you have to pay $25,000 a bond to get back your machine. So that is the kind of problems, the logistical problems that we have, and it's happening every day. The guy called me this morning. Yesterday I had another issue.
And NLCB doesn't want to hear anything. Is that what you're saying?
No. That is what I'm saying. They don't want to hear anything, and they don't do anything about it.
So they are eager to suppress the machine.
Very eager because Mikey K, they are using the suppression now, the suppression factor, to bring all agents in line to pay that $25,000 bond who have not had that as yet. And those will be many hundreds of the older agents, like including myself, who did not have to pay that.
So they're trying to raise money. Now the thing about it is this: when it comes to having to pay now, if your machine is suppressed, why is there a separate account to get that machine back up running? Why can't you just simply continue putting it in the account that is registered there for you for them to take out the money?
Right, and that is another good question, because last week an agent called me and she inadvertently made a deposit into that account. And they called her, the suppressor machine. She said, well, no, I made the deposit. When she went back in the bank and checked, and the deposit went into the reactivation account or the bond account, whatever different account they had. Right, so you're confusing people, right? Because you have to do the night safe, and she definitely put the wrong account number into it, and they suppress her. So these are the logistical problems that they happen with these night safe and the different accounts and NLCB. I mean, prior to all these, they didn't have all these problems, so I don't understand why they don't revert to what we're asking them to do.
Okay, let's look at number 2. Mandatory payment when terminal limits are exceeded. Now, NLCB internal controls, the NLCB ascribes to each agent a daily sales limit, right? Based on the agent's average daily sales. And once the agent's daily sales reach the net due sales limit, the operation of the terminal is automatically suppressed. Why is this policy, I'm trying to...
Again, Mikey, you have a business, right? Let me give you an analogy of this, what they say here.
Right.
You have a business. You have your job, you're working somewhere, you leave a work in the business and say, listen, as soon as you cross $10,000, you look up my business and go and make that deposit because I don't trust you. I need to see my money in the account. But the guy going to make the deposit, you don't know if he's really making the deposit. He calls you and said, I made the deposit. Right? I want you to read the last line in that same policy, number 2 policy, read it. Only in these instances will an unstamped deposit slip as proof of payment be accepted. That contradicts policy number 1.
Number 1, exactly. Yeah.
Discontinuation of proof of payment.
Yeah.
So you don't want no proof of payment as in the first policy, but in the second policy, I will use a deposit slip as proof of payment. But that deposit slip is a deposit slip that I make out, not a deposit slip that the bank gave me.
All right, now let's look at number 3. Non-payment is considered larceny. Agent must make their weekly deposits in full and in a timely manner in accordance with the terms of their contract. Non-payment by agent of the full weekly deposits to the NLCB, as indicated by the weekly sales statement, will be treated as misappropriation of funds, larceny, and breach of trust, and the NLCB will treat such cases by taking appropriate legal action, as well as referring the matter to the TTPS. Now, you're saying that there's going to be some man-hours spent by the TTPS to come after an agent who may have some complication. NLCB doesn't want to hear that. Why isn't that police man-hours being used to shut down the illegal way that is taking taxpayers' money? Basically, it's depriving us of benefits of tax, and that's a big thing now. Whether it's property tax or whatever tax, government needs money. They made it quite clear. Some can't even be accounted for, but they need money. But money is sitting right there. Money is there every single day when people are playing it illegally, and these people who are running these shops don't pay taxes. They don't pay as far as labor. They don't pay any of the employees. They don't give anything basically to the community. But yet still you, as an agent, a legal agent, for whatever reason, didn't make your payment, that is going to be referred to the TTPS, not the illegal one.
Yeah, and we have talked about this illegal player for the longest while, and nothing has been done, right? But that policy that you talk about, policy number 3, right? That is constructed. That is an illegal sort of construction of that policy. They cannot tell you non-payment is considered larceny and misappropriation of funds and so on will be treated as larceny. You have to have evidence of larceny. You can't tell a man it's larceny until you prove that. That has to go to court and the judge has to say, well, look, it is proven that it is larceny. What I don't understand who drafted that statement, and I said in an earlier report that they're playing police now. Because that is not their job. And as you rightly say, why are you now engaging the police service into these matters that you can handle internally? As I just outlined, you can handle these matters internally.
What I can't understand here is that you're suppressing the machine, but yet you expect payment. So how is the agent going to function if they can't have access to the machine?
Right, and that is my only source of income. So how do I pay you? Right, and then I can't pay you $10,000 just like that, but you decide to impose an interest rate on that and make that $10,000, $20,000. And then you want me to take out a bond? No, for $25,000
Right.
and a reactivation fee of $1,000 to get back my machine. How is
So
that possible?
that's 26,000. So you're right. That's number 4. Provision of a bond for all suppressed agents. All agents whose terminal is suppressed due to non-payment, late payments, or short payments of their weekly deposit will be required to provide a bond for a sum not less than 25,000. This basically tells everyone who is listening and watching that they basically want the agent to deliberately fall into this trapping.
That's right, and it seems to be a conspiracy or collaboration with the banks to do that. So that once NLCB make their sweep on a Thursday, they say 200 agents don't have their money in the kitty, right? The funds are not remitted to our account, it has not hit NLCB's account. So 200 agents are shut down, and you now have to pay that $25,000 bond and $1,000 reactivation fee, as you say. $26,000 now by 200 agents.
All right.
So that seems to be some sort of plan and some sort of arrangement and some sort of deliberate attempt to extract this money from agents who I say that they are now targeted as a source of income and a source of revenue.
So
because how else could you put this?
Yeah, Mr. Prasad, where do we go from here? I think that is the big question. My thing is, if you're going the full distance with this, it has to be outside the home of the finance minister. They're very disconnected. They don't understand how people are trying to keep their head above water. They don't care about the fact that you have made investments, you're paying workers, you're paying taxes. They don't care about that. Mr. Nances is just simply a public servant, a puppet. He is no more than a hatchet man. That's it. He's neither here nor there. But the issue here is the line minister, the finance minister, needs to know once and for all that you cannot come out here and play with the people bread and butter. These things do not make sense. And if the government is looking for money, why should be the legal online gambling be attacked while they leave the illegal gaming to go on untouched and yet still deprive this country of millions of dollars?
Yes, well said, and I have been sending emails to the Prime Minister and to the Minister of Finance, trying to get a meeting with them for them to understand our position. We have to offer positions and what are our concerns. I did that over the years, and just last month I sent out twice 2 sets of emails to both gentlemen, and I have not received any response from them or any acknowledgement letter. And if after I explained the folly in what they're doing here with this 36 agents that they talked about, and I am just using the figures that the chairman gave in his release, I'm not putting any haphazard figure here, I'm not putting my own figures. If after I made that calculation of how they could have recover that $6 million in just 2 months, they don't take note of that and pay attention to what is happening at NLCB, I don't know what else will get their attention. But to answer your question, part of your question too is what's next? And we have attorneys looking at the document, looking at the contracts, looking at whether contracts and policies they are not the same thing, they are 2 different things, and looking at the contractual arrangements that we have, and if it gives them the right to do these things that they are doing and to impose these policies upon us unilaterally. So we are at that stage in terms of the legal aspect of it.
And we have seen this before with the scrap iron dealers and many people who are simply just trying to keep their head above water. If you do not send a strong message, people are going to take your bread and butter out of your mouth. And the time has come for us to say enough is enough. Especially when you have the illegal gaming going on and nothing is being done. You go to the very same TTPS and you make complaints and they tell you it's out of their hand. Why? Because sometimes you see officers lining up to play the game at the illegal way. So everybody's throwing a blind eye. And that to me is the ultimate disrespect. You want to come down on people and you want to tell them, listen, pay $25,000, do this, do that, while you have people who are running their games and depriving the country of good money. Something is wrong. So my thing is, take it straight to the finance minister. Straight to the finance minister. Let him know. It's an election time. Send a strong message.
I am hoping that he received the message loud and clear, because I mean it's all over now, it's all over the media, and I have done a calculation here that will solve the problem in 1 month, 2 months as a matter of fact. So I don't understand why they're not paying attention to this. And as I said before, I have written to him and to both him and the Prime Minister seeking a meeting with both gentlemen.
And if you don't get a reply, let's say what, in the next 3 days or whatever, everything is set and ready to go?
Yeah, we have plans in place, and we are set and ready to go with our course of action, yeah.
All right. I wish you all the best, please. You will inform me, and I will spread the word that people, this is the action that's going to be taken, and we have to stand in solidarity with these agents. I don't know what is going on in this country. I ask myself that every day. Why is it that people, especially people who are just simply trying to make ends meet, seem to be railroaded by this administration? I don't care what party card you have in your pocket, your purse, or your wallet. The main thing is people should be able to stand up and say, listen, I am here, I'm doing a job, and if you can't respect it, why put this extra pressure on me? Doesn't make sense. And while others are getting away with it scotch-free, that's the hurtful part about it.
Exactly. So I agree with you totally, Mikey K, and I hope, as I say, that the Minister and the Prime Minister, they are listening, that we have their ears, and that they will do something about this, because this is really unbearable now. Very unbearable.
Wish you all the best. It's always a pleasure having you on. You let me know what to do. My thing is, go to the Finance Minister house, parang the right house. Parang the right house. Send a message. And take everybody, let them look hungry, let them look real. Take them in front of the gate. And when he press the button to drive in, you must see all these faces. Man, you touching my bread and butter.
Yes, I agree with that. But I mean, at the end of the day, why do we have to do these things? Why it is as you're asking that big question?
Well, welcome to Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Prasad.
Yes, but that is the problem here.
Have a good one. Take care.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mikey.
You're welcome. Folks, that brings us to the end of the program. Have a good one until tomorrow. We're going to be right back here. Remember, we are observing, but a lot of action has started. A lot. When you hear Dr. Gopi Singh talk about how the education system was, folks, until tomorrow, have a good one.
The Observer.